thank you very much to everybody for attending to this webinar, and thank you especially to Wencke for presenting, for giving us this presentation about her nomad life. She's going to talk about how did she start that, why did she start this kind of life, and the logistics and the problems she's facing when she's doing that. And well, I hope it's going to be very interesting and very inspiring for everybody. Okay, the idea of the presentation is that when she's talking, please everybody should mute the microphones, and if it's possible, turn the camera off, so there's no disturbance in the recording of the webinar. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll open a turn of words and questions. If anybody wants to make a comment or ask something, we can do that. Okay. So thank you very much, Wencke, again for doing the presentation, and it's your turn. Just go ahead. Thank you very much.
I have to thank you for giving me the chance to hold this presentation in front of you. So hello to everybody out there. My name is Wencke Bellmann. I'm 41 years old, and today I will tell you something about my nomad life. In German, I call my team die vier Landstreicher, which is an old-fashioned German word for something like traveler or maybe gypsy, but I know I have to be careful with this word. So if you want to follow us or our story after this webinar, this is the name you can find us on Facebook. Yes, what did I prepare today for you in this webinar? First of all, I would like to introduce you to my team of animals, and also tell a little bit about myself, but especially why did I choose this life? How does someone get the idea of traveling this way in this time today? And how did I get prepared for this life? Because maybe you can imagine that it was not just necessary to buy 2 horses and this tiny house on wheels and then go for it. So there was a lot of preparation to do. It took me 14 months. And maybe there's someone listening or watching who also is interested in starting a life like this. And maybe there are some helpful advices for you. I also want to give you some impressions of my tiny house and show it to you from the inside and also from the outside. And I will give a little overview, where did we travel so far till now, and how do we find resting places at the end of the day. And then some special aspects I want to talk about, for example, those harnesses you see here. So why don't I use traditional leather? Why do I use these harnesses called Sealtech? And you can't see it on this picture because this was just for a photo shooting. Usually we drive with horseshoes, but not out of metal or steel, made out of plastic. And I will tell you if it's possible. I think by now we did 1,500 kilometers in 2 years. And yeah, I will give you some impressions about this alternative. And in the end, I want to give you some impressions, some pictures and videos of our daily life, but really only rare impressions because our time today is limited. Yeah, but to have an idea of how our life looks like. It's been quite a while since I talked English, so I hope my English is fluently enough. But if you didn't understand something, then keep that in mind and please ask me at the end of the presentation. All right, let's go. So first of all, I want to introduce you to my main characters, because without my animals, I would be nothing. This is Luna, my dog. She's about 13 or 14 years old, and she's my absolute sunshine. She makes my life so much brighter and better. And she's been in my life long before horses came back into my life. But of course, there are also 2 horses. These are German draft horses. The breed is called Rheinisch-Deutsches Kaltblut. And on the left hand, you can see Lümmel, which means something like bad boy. He's about 16 years old now, so he's got a lot of experience. I will tell you later why this is very necessary for me. And on the right side, you can see Ella. Unfortunately, Ella only became 11 years old because after the first year of traveling, or after the first 4 months, we had quite a big disaster. The first 4 months were like the pure fun and adventure, and we had so many great experiences. But then the big disaster came because Ella died on a colic. And yeah, as you can imagine, I was very sad about it and very desperate and didn't know how to continue and if I wanted to continue. So I needed a little time out to think about how my life should be continued. But after this time of thinking about it, I decided I want to continue this life because, yeah, the first year was so great that I wanted to go on. So the whole winter time, I searched for a new horse, for a new partner to Lümmel. And that was quite a bit difficult because maybe you know that those draft horses have quite different diseases or health issues. And the other thing is I needed a very experienced horse because I only drive carriages for about 3 years now. So it would not make any sense to buy a horse of age 4 or 6. So I need horses who have seen a lot of things and are quite calm. Yeah, so our new team member is called Electra. She's also the same breed and she's about 15 years old, and I'm very happy that she's in our team now. Yeah, what is there to talk about myself? My name is Wencke Bellmann, 41 years old. And before I started in this life, I'm actually a teacher, but I was quite unhappy in my job. And so I decided to change many things in my life. Also because when I was 30, my life from the surface looked perfect. I had a very good job. I got engaged and I had my own house. But behind the surface, I was very, very unhappy. And I got the diagnosis, depression and burnout. So from 30 on, I was changing my life, many things in my life. And what you see now is some kind of the peak, the top of this changing time, which I am very proud of. Yeah, many people want to know, did you know anything about horses before? Yes, I was very privileged that in my childhood I grew up with many different animals and also with ponies. And later on in my youth, I started to ride competitions. I don't know the special name for this. It was combined competitions of dressage and jumping and outdoor jumping. But afterwards, the horses left my life, unfortunately, because as you know, horse riding is quite an expensive hobby, and I went abroad and I studied. Yeah, so this time somehow was over, but later on, the horses came back in my life, and this is a story I want to tell you now. So, how did I get the idea of living a life like this? Which were my motivations and my reasons for this lifestyle? Well, first of all, I during the Corona time, I traveled through Europe with my ex-boyfriend, and we used 3 different camping cars, and I really, really enjoyed this kind of life. I enjoyed to be outside all the time and see different landscapes and get to know different cultures. And there was one important other thing, because we also went to Spain and stayed there quite for a long time. And while I was there, I started to work with Spanish stallions. And as you can imagine, there was a passion within these horses that came back to me, and I felt that I missed horses for far too many years, and it had a very big impact on me. Yeah, and then the partnership or the relationship ended, and I was quite desperate because I was again at a point of my life where I didn't know how to continue my life and how my life should perfectly actually look like. And I was sitting there in Spain and not knowing how to come back to Germany. So I took this car and went into the Spanish mountains on my own to sort my thoughts out. And it was a very important day of my life because I managed to take my thoughts seriously and answer them seriously. I asked myself, Wencke, if you didn't have to think about money or job or anything like that, how should your perfect life look like? And then I answered those questions. And for me, it was clear I wanted to live in the nature. I felt that that was very healthy for me to be more outside than inside and be in motion. And I wanted a life on the road, traveling. I really enjoyed that. And what I also very enjoyed very much was the minimalistic aspects of this life, traveling with less stuff, less material. This was a very felt very free for me. But I didn't want a van life. I wanted to travel slower and with less technology than with different cars. And as I told you, I wanted to have horses back in my life. So then I actually just combined these things and count them together and designed myself a whole new life as I made the decision, yes, this is what I want, and I'm ready to do it with all the consequences that are needed. So it's not a long childhood dream or something like this, because these first ideas came 2022. This picture is from 2022. And there was another important thing. As my mother died on cancer, I realized that it's quite important to do the things that make you happy now and not later. So these were my reasons to design myself a whole new life. Yeah, and then I started to design not only in my mind, but also on paper. I started drawing my dream tiny house. How would it look like? Yeah, this was the first drawing I made then. And afterwards, I put those Maßstab. I designed it also on my kitchen floor, on the floor to get a feeling for the space and the room. Yeah, and 14 months later, the dream became true. And this is the tiny house I live in today. So as you can see, there are no traditional aspects of other traveling cultures. It's just my kind of design and what is really necessary for me. This is the view from the other, from the other side. Mm. And usually at this point of my presentation, or when I show visitors my tiny house from the inside, usually now is the point where everybody asks me, wow, that one's nice. I would like to know, what did you pay for it? What did it cost you? And by now I don't answer this question anymore because I realized it is the wrong question. The more important question is, what are you willing to sacrifice? If you really want something, then maybe there's something that you have to sacrifice. If you want this, then you have to lose something else. And in my case, I had to sell my old tiny house. It was nothing fantastical, but I really liked it because I did a lot of stuff by myself inside of that. And it had a big garden, but it was clear, if I want this, then I have to sell this. So let's have a little more detailed view in the on the inside of my wagon. I have a gas stove and a sink This is my water system. It's about 60 liters I have for myself. And usually I only use 10 or 15 liters per day. For example, on a day where I have to wash dishes and take a shower. So I've got usually always enough water on board. This is my fridge. And I've got a little oven. I must admit, during the winter times, I do not travel, at least as long as I'm still in Germany, because in Germany it doesn't make any fun. It's no fun to sit on a driver's seat in winter times of a carriage. So in winter times we have accommodation where we rest. But during spring and autumn, this oven is really good. A little toilet and a lot of space and room for all that stuff I need. This is all the electricity and all that stuff. So let's have a look on the driver's area. I have got two braking pedals and different lights I can use. And this is my gas can. I need gas to cook and to make hot water. So I've got also a hot water boiler. So I can also take a hot shower at the end of the day, which is really luxury. Yeah, beneath my driver's seat, there's a high-tech car battery. And this is my outdoor shower. Genau. And usually the driver's seats, and even in Germany, are on the right side, but actually there's no sense because of the different. Also, it's still from a British tradition to have the driver's seat on the right side, but it makes no sense in the German traffic. So I wanted to break this tradition and have my driver's seat on the left side. Yeah, here on the top, on the roof, you can see my two solar panels and all that room and space for the equipment for the horses and the animals outside of my carriage. A lot of space. Enough space, enough room. Yeah. Let's go a few steps backwards. Maybe there's someone out there listening or watching who also wants to get a life like this, to have a life like this, and maybe wants to know which is the best way to get prepared for it. So this is just my opinion, and this is just what I did. As I said, I needed 14 months, but 14 months of very strict organization. First of all, I searched for a job at a horse stable because, as I told you, many years I didn't have nothing to do with horses, and I want to get in regularly contact to horses again. And that was very helpful. And what was very helpful was to sell my car. For me, it was clear that in the future it wouldn't be possible to get from A to B very fast. And I didn't want to have this change too suddenly. So I sold my car and did everything by bicycle. And when that was stolen, I did everything walking. And there were two good advantages by selling my car because my fitness increased as I did everything by myself, and I was exposed to each kind of weather, which was also very helpful for my life today. Yeah, I was searching everywhere for people who knew more about this kind of lifestyle than me to interview them with all the questions I had in my mind, especially about the daily organization of this lifestyle. And that was quite difficult because in Germany, there are not many people who live like this. Maybe in France, there are more people, of course, in Great Britain, the traveler, the tinker, but in Germany, it's very hard to find people. For me, it was helpful to get on Facebook and in different Facebook groups of travelers and horse hikers and trail riders. I hope those vocabulary is right. Yeah, and there I could find some people who could answer all my questions. Yes, and as it is, as there are rare people in Germany who live like this, it was also quite difficult to find a producer for my tiny house. At the end, I find someone who builds carriages, who build all the metal stuff, and another builder built the tiny house, and afterwards it was combined. Yeah, then there was a very frightening moment because as I am some kind of a civil servant as a teacher, I needed to request my time out from my job as a teacher, and they could also have said, no, this is not possible. But fortunately, they agreed. And then I needed to learn how to drive carriages. As I told you, in my childhood and in my youth, I was a horse rider, but I had no idea of driving carriages. And so I decided to make a workshop of 1 week to get a driver's license. This driver license is not absolutely necessary, but it was a very good start to get an impression of driving carriages in theory and practically. But of course, I knew that this 1 week workshop would not be enough to get on the road with 2 own horses one day. So also via Facebook, I searched for internships in Germany and for practical training to get more routine in driving carriages. And the first internship I did was in the south of Germany, where I drove with competition ponies on international competitions. And the second one was more important and longer. It was during the winter before I started in this life. I got to know a man who was over 70 years old, and he had 10 draft horses, and he wanted to reduce this number. And there I could learn driving the carriages with draft horses, and I could choose 2 draft horses there. So having that man by my side, it was an absolute jackpot. Yeah, then I also needed to sell my house and everything that was inside of it because, as you can imagine, if you live on 6 square meters, there's not much space or room for all that stuff I owned before. And this was a process which took me many months, I think about 3 or 4 months, to sort all that stuff out and give it away and sell it and maybe also throw some things away. Then I also needed to organize a post address and cancel my regular residence registration. So this means I have no regular home anymore. We travel that is the plan. My goal is to travel from spring till autumn, and in winter times we stay at an accommodation, but I have no home base anymore. Yeah, then it was for me very important to learn everything about hoof care and hoof shoes because my goal was to drive without hoof shoes of steel. I will tell you later why. And of course, I needed to find 2 draft horses. So these were the main steps I took or did during 14 months of preparation time before I started in my new life. Now I want to give you an overview where we have been yet. So by now we have been in Germany in the northern part. Here's the North Sea, here's the Baltic Sea, here you can see Denmark, Netherlands, and here's Poland. And in this area we have been now. So this is only the flat area of Germany, the northern part, because my carriage weighs about 2.2 tons. And maybe it would be possible to go in the southern areas with all the mountains, but I don't want to make it too heavy for my horses, and also I'm not very keen in mountain areas. Let's have a little closer look. So one way back, we started here in this county called Niedersachsen and went through Schleswig-Holstein and afterwards last year through Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. So I started here. there was my second practical time where I also bought Lümmel and Ella. And then I started with someone else, Uwe, who was very experienced in living this way. And our plan was to go to France together. But around here, we decided it was better to go different ways. And then I decided I want to go to my old hometown here on the North Sea. And then I decided I want to go to Schleswig-Holstein, which I didn't know very much before. But that also meant that I had to find out how to cross 3 rivers here, the Weser, the Elbe, and over here the North Ostsee Canal. Well, anyway, those were 3 of the most exciting experiences during the first year. After 4 months, I decided to stop, although my plan actually is to travel from spring to autumn. But after the 4 months, I was a bit finished. It was so many impressions and so many things I experienced. And there was also a problem because here, Ella, she had an abscess between her front legs and she had high fever. The fever went away, but this abscess didn't go away. And so I decided I don't want to travel any longer. And then we had a first winter accommodation in this area. Later on, we changed close to Hamburg. And this is where I started last year, going through Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Oh, yeah. And the first year we did about 300 or 900 kilometers. I don't know exactly. Usually we do 15 kilometers per day. The horses could walk so much longer. They could walk 20 or 30 or even 40 kilometers per day. But to be honest, after 3 hours on the driver's seat, my back hurts, and then it's enough for me because you also have to be very concentrated. If you travel with horses, you have to have your eyes and your ears everywhere, and it's quite exhausting, the concentration. So 3 hours is fine for us. That meant we had about 70 resting spots. And yeah, the story with the three ferries. So last year we started close to Hamburg and we went through Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. We traveled about 5 months and did less kilometers because the main difference between the first and the second year was that in the second year I had to earn more money. I needed to find jobs. And we had 3 longer jobs, or 3 longer breaks and stops. Also because around here, Electra had a hoof problem. She had an abscess in her hoof, which took quite a long time. So at the moment, we are here close to the Baltic Sea, and I hope that in the middle or at the end of April, we can start again. And then we will continue to go through Germany. Actually, I wanted to go to Poland and discover Poland, but I think it might be a bit problematic to offer my presentations, which is the main way for me to earn money. There's one thing I need to explain. I have got some kind of vacation from my job as a teacher, but that means, on the other hand, I am not allowed to earn much money. So my financial situation is a bit tricky, and we're sorting different ways out how to earn money. Okay, so yeah, where and how do we find resting areas? Just 1 second. Yeah, at the end of the day, we need to find a place where my horses can eat and drink. So we also need to find water because I've got always about 90 liters water with me, but that's usually not enough for a whole day. So we need to find natural water or people who give us water. And how do we find them? Or where are we mostly? Mostly we are on private ground. There are many people who invite us who have just a big property or a big garden where we can stay. And very often, farmers are a very good address for us. They are very uncomplicated and they know about animals. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to ask farmers. For example, you can see here, it's also at a farmer. Sometimes we stay at horse stables or with people who own horses too. But also, commercial areas are often a good address for us, because there's very often a plot of land which is not used, and sometimes we find good places there. Sorry, which is suitable for us. Yeah. In the beginning, you also did some wild camping, but you need to be really careful with it, because sometimes you see a plot of land, an area, and spot where you think, oh, this is interesting, and I think no one cares about this plot. But some farmers explained to me that often these plots, they get subsidies for these areas. And if they make satellite pictures of these areas, and if it shows that my horses have eaten the grass there, then the farmers lose their subsidies. And that's not what we want. We don't want no stress with nobody. So this is why I always try to find out who's the owner of the area I want to rest at. And usually it's very easy to find out. There's always someone running around and trying to help us, and gets on the telephone and gives us some hint where we can go. So at the end of the day, it's no problem for us to find a resting area at the end of the day. We never had a problem with that. I didn't expect that. But what I also didn't expect, to be honest, that my own people from Germany are that helpful and that friendly. So I had very good experiences. And yeah, but what you need to be to find resting areas is you really need to be communicative. You need to be open, and if you're afraid of talking to people and asking people, then this is not the real lifestyle for you. So you need to be communicative. When I started in this life, I sometimes was afraid not to find a plot where my horses at the end of the day could eat enough. So I tried to organize everything the day before, or before I started in the day. But to me, it was not successful, because, for example, when I called people, I'm some kind of a traveler with horses, and I want to ask you if I can stay at your plot this evening. Then they've got like 100 question marks in their mind, and then they say, "Oh, I need to talk to my husband, and please call later." So for me, this was not successful. For me, it's easier to look for a plot which is suitable for us, and then I stand in front of the door and they ring the bell, and then I talk to people, and then the people see who we are and what we need, and then it's far easier to get a suitable place to rest. Yeah, now I want to tell you something about the alternative solutions I use. For me, it was a big goal not to travel with steel shoes. Why? There, many people laughed at me because of that. Because I think some people even did bets. How many months will it take until her horses have usual steel shoes beneath their hooves? Why did I want to go without them? Well, first of all, I'm just no friend of them, as you know, that can cause many problems. and it's simply a bit unnatural to put some iron beneath the feet of a horse. The other problem is that I don't know how it is in your country, but in Germany, it is very, very difficult to find a good farrier, especially if you have got draft horses, because it's a decreasing business, and the farriers, they can choose their customers because there are less farriers. And if I call them and tell them that I've got 2 draft horses of between 750 and 900 kilogram, then sometimes they just stop the conversation, or they even double their prices. And so I wanted to make myself less, how is it, abhängig. I wanted to provide. Sorry, I wanted to verhindern, dass I wanted to. Anyway, you know what I mean. So if I would have those problems during my journey, then that might be a reason to stop, because I cannot find a farrier, and there are many people who have these problems daily. So I wanted to avoid those problems. So the goal was to go with horseshoes. Here you can see the shoes of a mini Shetland pony, and this is a shoe of Lümmel. Unfortunately, there are not many products for the big hooves of draft horses. So we use the EasyBots Epic, and they go up to size 7. Lümmel has size 6, and Ella has size 5. So all in all, it usually works good most of the time. Sometimes we have problems that they turn around while they are walking. There are days when it works out better, and there are days when when it's quite difficult with them. I made the experience that when the weather is very hot and dry, then the hooves shrink a little bit, and then we have more problems with turning hoof shoes. Now, yeah, here you can see how they look like after about 100 kilometers, I think. And fortunately, we have the option to get them repaired at the hoof-shoe doctor. And sorry. Yeah, and then they repair it, make a new sole, I think, I don't know. And that is very good, because one of those shoes costs about 120 euro. And to repair them like this costs about between 13 and 23 euro, I think. So this is very helpful that you can renew them. But sometimes there's no chance to repair them, because, for example, this is one shoe of Lümmel. He sometimes raises and grinds his back hoofs. So, yeah, sometimes there's a point where you can't repair them. At the end of the day, I must admit, it is a lot of work. I'm always repairing something or changing a detail, and it's also really exhausting. It needs a lot of power, and sometimes I get a little bit dizzy, because I always work with my head to the ground. But I think the horses do a lot of work for me, and so I'm willing to give a lot of work back to them. And it's so much better for the hooves. The hooves really look good, also because I regularly care for them. And yeah, I'm very proud of the hooves of my horses. Yeah, but it is a lot of work. I must admit that. So if you want to travel with 8 horses, don't get the idea that it's possible to walk with hoof shoes like these. Yeah, there's another alternative solution I'm a very big friend of. As you can see, we don't use traditional leather harnesses. These harnesses are called Sealtech, and I could never ever have imagined to travel with them, because when I first saw them, I thought, oh my God, this is so ugly plastic. But as soon as you use it once, you don't want anything else. So, which are the advantages? First of all, it's ultra light. This is an advantage not only for me because I have to lift the harnesses many times a day, it's also an advantage for my horses because of the less weight, and so they also sweat less. You never got any problems with chafing because this neoprene you can see here doesn't soak the sweat. And this is the reason why you never have ever problems with chafing. And it's infinitely adjustable. So however short or long you need a rope, you can adjust it wherever you need it. It is extremely strong and tear-proof because originally this comes from shipping. And it's very robust. And you can even put it in the washing machine. So you don't have to care about it as much as with leather. For me, it's very important because, yes, I have a lot of space and room in my carriage, but not endless space. So it just can hang outside even when it's raining. It's no problem. And this is very useful. And yeah, I can really recommend it. This is our new accessoire I got last summer. It's very helpful because it's a mixture of an halter and a bridle. So I just can just clip out this bit. For example, when we have rest or a break, or if the horses need to eat something, and I can also fix them here, which is not usual at the bridle. Was a very good investigation, and I can also recommend it very well. So this was the end of my first part of my presentation. Now I would like to give you some impressions about our life on the road and show you some pictures and also some videos. But unfortunately, we made a test a few minutes before, and maybe the videos are without sound, but it's hopefully not that bad. Okay, here from our first year, where you can see Ella still. So one of the frequently asked questions to us is, what do you do when you need to go shopping? Well, in fact, it's less spectacular than most of the people think. We try to find supermarkets with great parking spaces, and then I just take the horses out. I don't know the special vocabulary, but you know what I mean. I take them away from the front of the carriage, and I've got 6 options to fix them around my carriage. So, and then they just take a little nap, at least as there are not many visitors taking pictures of them and asking hundreds of questions. Yeah, then I go shopping and I come back, and then I put all my stuff in my wagon and in my fridge, and then I put the horses in front of the wagon and we continue to travel. So it's not very spectacular, at least not for us. For the people, for the other people who go shopping, it's often quite spectacular. Yeah. Oh yeah, a ferry. This was the first ferry we had across the Weser. And I must admit, I was really, really afraid. And I was unsure if I should do this with the horses in front of my carriage or not, or if I should organize a horse trailer. Yeah, I thought about it a long time. At first, I called them and asked them, is it actually possible to go there with the horses in front of the carriage? And they said, yeah, generally it would be possible. And then I thought about it, and I decided, okay, I will do this, but only if there are some people who help me. So I can stay at the driver's seat, and some people who stay in front of the horses and give them a bucket with feed, for example. Yeah, so I was very excited if everything will go okay, because it's quite a frightening, can be a quite frightening situation for the horses, because it's very loud. The smell of the motors is big. I don't know how to say. And it's very all the trucks, they stay very closely in front of you, next to you, behind you. But everything went fine, and all my worries, yeah, were needless. I don't know. The horses were very calm and well behaved and very brave. And yeah, I was very proud of them. And it was a nice experience to see what is possible to do with those horses when the trust is growing. I must admit one thing. Usually, when we travel, we only walk. I don't know if it's the right vocabulary. So we go slowly. In this case, I let the horses go trot for about 10 or 15 minutes, so that they are a bit tired and just take a rest and break. And yeah, that worked out very fine. When I do this presentation to other people, many people told me, "Oh my gosh, Wencke, you can be so happy that you didn't have steel shoes beneath the feet of your horse." I didn't think about that at all. But at first of all, the sound from steel on steel can be very unangenehm. They can react a bit afraid of that noise, and it can also be very, very slippery, they told me. So there's another reason for hoof shoes made out of plastic, or in this case, I even took them off. Many people also want to know, how big is the meadow you make for your horses? So I've got everything with me to build a fence, of course, yeah, and it's also an electric fence, because I've got the high-tech car battery, and so it's also an electric fence. But how big is the area I use for them? Well, it also always depends on the grass, how high is the grass and how nourishing is it, because of course I want to avoid colics. So like in this case, it's very nourishing, so I make the area a bit smaller, and then they eat, and then they take a break, and then I take the fence and move it a few meters further. And this is how I try to avoid colics. But also to have an idea of how much they eat. This is when we came to this spot, and this is when we went away. So they like to eat a lot. Yeah, but it also reminds me of the wonderful thing about this lifestyle. It's a dream come true. So many horse owners, they see their horses maybe for 1 hour a day or 3 times a week, and as soon as I wake up and look out of my window, I can see my horses sleeping, or um, or even dreaming. I heard Elektra last year. I heard Elektra making funny noises in her sleep. You hear everything about your horses, which is not always funny, because, for example, if they've got problems with their I don't know. With their poo, and the poo is very fluid. I don't know how to say. You hear everything. You hear when they lay down. You hear it when they roll around, and so my sleep is not as deep as before or usually. But in general, of course, this is a dream come true for most horse owners, to live a life this close with my animals. Yeah, this is an example for what I told you, that often in commercial areas we find also good places to rest. This is fallow land. No one uses this, and it will be a building plot in a few years, but not now. And so you can see also in commercial areas we find sometimes good areas to rest. Yeah, during the first summer, I bought a new accessoire, which I can really also recommend. Those fly blankets are very helpful because those ropes are always moving around when the horses walk, and so no insect has a chance to have a rest on my horses. They are really good. And in to compare with normal fly blankets, those are better because they sweat less, because it's no closed texture textile text, I don't know, you know what I mean. So like this, not okay. Yeah, this is an example for resting plot with perfect conditions, because we have no fence. We have no ditch. We have shadow for the horses. We have solid ground so that I can turn around with my wagon very good. And in the neighborhood, I can get some water. And in fact, it's very often that we find places like this. And as I told you, the people are very helpful. And yeah, so this is some kind of a perfect example for a resting area. Also because the grass is not too nourishing, it's not too short and not too long. It's perfect for the horses, so that I can build a bigger fence and they can walk around a bit more. Oh, the second ferry, I think without sound. It's also a short video. Yeah, it was this the third ferry. The second ferry across the Elbe, it was not possible to go on with the horses in front of the carriage, because there are different regulations on this river. So I had to organize a horse trailer and a strong car to pull my tiny house. But this was the third ferry across the Nord-Ostsee-Kanal, a very, very small ferry. And I was far more relaxed at this time, because I knew that how my horses would react. Yeah, and I was very proud to see how good they manage it. Yeah, what I really, really love about my new lifestyle is that I get to know so many different people. I think I can say the last 2 years I didn't meet 100 people. I think I met 1,000 people. And what I also like is that often people get to know each other. For example, this one and these, they didn't know each other before, although they live in the neighborhood or sometimes close to each other, the next house, and they didn't speak a word to each other before, because everywhere where we arrive, people come around and there's a little meeting, and it's always nice meetings and nice talks. Sometimes it's also exhausting, I must admit that, because as soon as we arrive somewhere, all the curious people come around us and they ask all the same questions, usually day by day. But in fact, I really, really like this. And but it's so, if you're a person who loves to be on your own, then this is not the right lifestyle for you, at least when it's so special, like in Germany. Yeah, and what I also love is that you get to know the people in a way you can't explain. It's a different traveling compared to traveling by car or go to another country by flight. For example, I met this woman who had 20 different kind of those big birds, uhus, and then I helped her to clean their houses, and suddenly you've got a bird like this on your arm. You know, these are all experiences and adventures I had that I know I would never ever had if I would have stayed in my little town Fahre. And I'm so thankful for that, because it's you can't compare it, and those are really rare impressions because the time is a bit limited. Yeah, another funny situation was on this spot where my tiny house rested between a circus tent and an old ship. Yeah, just some impressions. I could tell you endless stories. Or I was on a camping area once. I had never imagined to go there, but some people, they are so excited when they see us. It's like, you know, you get a red carpet, and they invite you, and yeah, so it's very funny what you experience. Yeah, this is the sad end of the first season. This is the abscess Ella had between her front legs. I had two vets, two doctors there. They couldn't really explain what the reason was. And she had high fever, and she got different medicine, and the fever went down, but this abscess didn't go away. And although the part of the harness wouldn't matter here, it's far above that, it would have no scars or something like that. I decided, no, I'm not going to go any further with her as long as I don't know what's wrong here. Yeah, and so I ordered a trailer, and we went to our first winter accommodation close to Bremen. Yeah, and 24 hours later, she was dead. So the big disaster, the sad disaster, many people, many horse or owners know. So a few impressions, just a few from the last year through Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Now with our new team member, Electra. I think, again, the sound is not on, but it's just an impression about the tempo and the landscape in Germany, in northern Germany, and the great weather we had. So whenever it is possible, we try to avoid the biggest streets. They don't have any problem with traffic. They don't care about a tractor. They don't care about trucks, about motorcycles. They are really, really calm and experienced horses and well educated. But of course, it's nicer to drive through the nature. But till now, I navigate with Google Maps, and I choose the satellite view. And then I try to find out, is this street okay for us? And as soon as I'm not sure if I can go there through, then I ask people who live there, can we go there? Can we go through? Or are there any problems? Could there be any problems for this wagon? Because as you can imagine, I cannot just turn around in circle of 1 meter or so. Yeah, it was very, very great last year. For me, it's not normal to go to the lake like this. Where I come from, the most lakes are private land, and there are fences around, and you can't take a bath there or something else. And in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, in this northern part of Germany, it was totally different. There are many, many lakes, and we often had nice spots where we could directly go to the waterfront, and that were really highlights for me in the last year. Special plots, special spots. Yeah, this is how it looks like when I don't have a lake around and take a shower. So very luxury. And what was also special last year here in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern is that there are many old manors or granges. I hope this is right. So many old farm farmers, very nice. Here we stayed about 1 month, and it was a great time. I found a job and yeah, had a good time. And yeah, one of the coolest experience, of course, also last year was that we were allowed to camp directly in front of this old castle. Yeah, as I told you, these are just a few impressions about my lifestyle, but I won't make it too long. Um, if you are interested in more of those experiences, as I said, I offer presentations, and yeah, if you're interested, you can contact me, and I will give you some more impressions. All right, so this is the end of my presentation or lecture. Where are you? Maybe now I can see something about you. Yeah, I hope everything was okay from the sound. And if there are any questions, because maybe my English wasn't perfect enough and you didn't understand something, then you can ask me whatever you want.
I think your English was really, really brilliant, and I think it was very, very easy to follow and very exciting and enjoyable at the same time. I really, really enjoyed watching your presentation and listening to
Thank
you
you.
explaining it with all that passion. If any of the people who are attending to the webinar wants to ask something, they can. Well, we are not that many. I don't think we have to raise hands. If somebody wants to open the microphone, start talking, please feel free to ask.
How do you liked it when it was raining?
Oh, yeah, good question. Usually, I simply try to avoid rain or very hot weather. So I always check the weather app, and if it's raining for a few days, then I ask the people if it's possible maybe to stay at a place for 2 days or a bit longer, or I drive before or after the rain. And I just got very good cloth for each kind of weather, but I try to avoid it. Any other questions?
Okay, go ahead. Somebody raised their hand. So if you want to open the microphone, turn on the microphone and ask. I think it's Martin or Martin. I don't know.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, fine. Well, I wondered how much hay do you feed to the horses, and yeah, for how many days you can take hay with you on the carriage?
Okay, so usually we drive without hay because the horses, when I bought them in from spring to autumn, they would also just eat grass. They didn't get any hay. So usually on the side of the road, we find enough grass and we don't need any hay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What they get is their mineral feed each day, which is very important. Many people also ask, "Oh my God, you need kilograms of grain. How much do they get?" They get nothing, in fact, because those 15 kilometers they walk, it's not hard work for them. So if those horses in the past, if they worked on a farm for 8 hours or in the woods, then they really need grain. But my horses, it's just a nice walk for them, you know. So they get mineral feed and some special feed because of their skin problems. So they get zinc and biotin. If I don't know if this is the right word.
Mm.
Yeah, but no hay.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know how it is called. Luzerne? Does anyone know what I mean? Yeah? Okay, so when we start, they also get Luzerne because for the muscles to get a bit stronger. Mhm.
It's Alfalfa.
Ja, habe ich mir auch, ja genau, Alfalfa. I didn't know that before.
There's one question or in the chat. It looks like Electra has CPL, chronic processive lymphedema, lumps on the lower leg. What do you do to manage this condition on the road?
Yeah, it was, as I told you, it was very, very hard to find a healthy horse because either they have got CPL or they've got, I don't know if it is the right word, chorioptic mange. How is the other, the skin disease where they itch themselves? How do you call it? Well, yeah, the most important thing for those horses who have this disease is to keep in motion. Yeah, they need to work, and that helps to avoid it and to increase it. They also need their special mineral feed. As I told you, they get a lot of zinc, and I've got some different creams. I don't know. Yeah, I also shave the legs usually, and they get medicine against the parasites about 2 or 3 times a year.
I'll ask a question myself too, because you saw the picture when you are parking your wagon, your carriage in front of the supermarket to do the shopping. The what I wanted to ask you is any regulation about if you have to collect the manure? No, the horses they just pull in the parking space. Do you have to clean that afterwards or no?
Yeah, I've got this apple boy or however you call it. I've got it always with me, and then I throw it away. Yeah, but when we're on the streets, I don't do it because actually I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Germany, actually it's a no-go to go without a second driver. And I try to avoid any stop that is not necessary. So on the streets, I don't make it away. The shit. Was it what you mean? The horse?
Yeah, exactly. The manure, well, the shit or the poo, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, some people even come to us and want to have it for the gardens. They do my work.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so Martin wants to ask again, or is the same hand? I don't know. Just go ahead. Don't just open the microphone, turn on the microphone, and ask directly. Martin, are you listening to me, or do you want to ask something or not?
Yes. It's a bit hard to put the microphone on. I'm working with the telephone, but I have a question. What are your plans for the next year or years? How many years do you plan to go on living this way? Do you want to visit other countries?
Yeah, I would love to go to Poland and to France. Actually, I wanted to go to Poland last year already, but because of this hoof abscess and because I needed to find more jobs, it took a bit longer. And this year, I think I need to stay in Germany because there are 2 big events about draft horses, and I want to go there to show a bit my little businesses I offer to earn money. And how long do I want to do this in general? Well, this what was the right word? Sorry, I need a vocabulary. Where is it? This for me, it's not a timeout or something like that. For me, this is a new concept of my life. So I want to do it as long as possible, but it depends on how long my horses can go with me, because they are 15 and 16 years old, and you know those draft horses sometimes don't get as old as a Shetland pony or any other breeds. So it depends on them. It depends on my back, because my life is really exhausting, and it's not just a romantic walk through the sunshine. You know, it's you need to be really fit, and then it depends on if my my financial situation will work out, because, as I told you, I'm not allowed to earn a lot of money. On the other hand, what most people forget is if you occupy 6 square meters of living room, you know, then you don't need as much money as if I have a house of 300 square meters. You know, I don't have to earn that much money as I did have to before. Yeah, but there are some restrictions. So at least in 2 years, I need to decide, will I be a teacher one day again or not? Because if not, then I have to make a very strong, very hard decision, because then I will not be this kind of civil servant anymore. I don't know how the real word for it is. So at maximum 2 years, I need to decide. Will I go back and go back to school and be a teacher again or not? And I will take the time. I'm not sure about it yet. I hope I can do it as long as possible.
Yeah, would it be possible to work for a year or 2 or so and go on tour again?
Steffi, bist du das?
Yep.
Hallo, schön, dass du dabei bist. Hi. Nice to see you. Yes, of course. It would be an option to make a break, earn more money, and then restart in this life. I also thought about it, but it would not be yeah. Yeah, also there are some problems about that. I need to think about it and make a concept.
Thanks.
And as well, if you mean, for what I understood of your explanation, you are basing your experience as well in the direct contact with people. You arrive one place, you look for somewhere to stay, so you are using your communication with the people as the main I don't know, way of sorting every stop you have to do and checking if the track is okay, you know, after, I don't know, you've been somewhere, you keep going and all that. But then if you change country, for instance, if you go to Poland, you know, it will be an issue, I understand there, unless I don't know if you speak Polish or not, but because you are really, you know, depending on your communicating skills in order to provide all that, food, the place where to stay and all that, no? So how are you thinking you can manage that if you go to Poland, for instance?
I also already have 2 books about learning how to speak Polish, but to be honest, I didn't use them a lot yet now. Yeah, of course, it might be a problem when I get there. So I need a minimum of vocabulary or speech, competence to talk there. But I don't think it will be an absolute limiting problem.
Yeah, many people in Poland, they speak German and English, so that should be okay.
Yeah.
No, sure. The only thing, at least from my experience here in Spain, is that if you go to certain rural areas, it's more difficult to find people that they are fluent in another language. Obviously, basic skills, you can do that, but it's a different.
Yeah.
Okay, is any other question? I mean, we've been now with the webinar for 1 hour and 15 minutes. That usually we do that for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. And if there are any other questions? No? Okay, well then, thank you very much, Wencke, for your presentation again. It's been very, very interesting and very, very inspiring as well. And well, as I said before, we're going to put this in YouTube, in our channel, not the FECTU channel, as long with the other webinars. And so if anybody wants to review that or just see something that they maybe missed and they think they can watch it again. And thank you everybody for attending as well to the webinar. And well, I hope you can explain next year, or when you do another stage going around, you can explain your experience another time if you like it. Okay, we'll be very, very, very glad if you can do it.
Yeah,
Thank you
of
very
course.
much. Thank you very
Okay.
much to everybody. Okay.
Thank you
Bye
too.
bye.
Goodbye.